is the Pegasus Podcast, presented by Night Sports Now. UCF news, views, and a few hot takes. Now, here are your hosts, Bailey Go Knights Adams and Christian Charge On Simmons.
Welcome into episode 280. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCASimmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. You can also email us at PegasusPodcast@ksn@gmail.com. Christian, we are under 20 days. As people are listening to this, there's 16 days till kickoff. It's good news.
Very good news. Well, it's good and bad news. It's good news because football is almost here. UCF football, to be specific. I know some of that preseason NFL nonsense has already hit the televisions, but I've forgotten, and I forget every year how – because I feel like this offseason went by pretty fast, to be honest. Like, at least for me, it did not feel like it dragged that long. I always forget how it's like the last 2 to 3 weeks just feel like hell. It feels like it is taking a billion years to get to football season, and I'm about to lose it, but it's fine.
I think the summer, especially to me, has flown by. Like, and I think part of it was just stuff like I was traveling a little bit, and like I had plans and stuff. So the summer flew by, and I got to like Bucs training camp way faster than I feel like I normally do. But yeah, ever since like the end of July, I feel like time has started to creep very slow.
Yep, it's awful.
So.
I feel like it's always like the post, or at least for me, it's like post fall camp starts, and I'm like, wow, we got to fall camp really fast, and then it just feels like it's taking 80 years to get to the season.
Yeah, it does. But like I don't know, I do like this time because we do have actual like stuff to talk about, which is good.
We're done with our off-season musings of like, what if Blake Bortles like came back and all the crazy stuff we have to talk about. And we actually, I gotta say, that was like the first couple of years of the podcast. That was a lot of it. Was like, because obviously it's like, what the hell else are you going to talk about in May and June? And college football just completely falling apart and having no rules has helped in that a lot, because now we really can't go more than like 2 weeks of the off-season without some like major thing happening. So we've made it through. But yeah, it's nice to have real, tangible, real 2025 UCF topics to talk about, such as what if that quarterback who we said is a depth piece and have not talked about for 6 months starts. So
yeah,
let's
start there. Cam Fancher, for the second week in a row, is running with the ones. And to be clear, Scott Frost has still been, saying the same line of like, no one has really separated themselves, and we're not. He's like, I wish we were at a place where we could make a decision, but we're not. And I wouldn't be fully opposed to going with, multi-quarterback until we figure it out. But for what it's worth, the last 2 weeks, Cam Fancher has been running with the ones.
Who's been running with the third string?
Taven Jackson.
So, man,
that has to be, at least to an extent, some indication of the order things are in right now, because why would you do that otherwise?
Like, particularly coming out of the first scrimmage. This is the first practice like that after they had their full scrimmage on Saturday or Thursday. Yeah, you can't not read into this. That doesn't mean it's going to be Fancher, but that sure makes it seem as if he has shockingly taken the lead after an offseason where all we talked about was Taven versus Risk and then Taven versus Jakari.
To an extent, like I see some of the clips coming out. I gotta say, I didn't watch him much at FAU or at Marshall before that, I think it was. I see the stats. I've seen some highlights and stuff, and nothing's really jumped out. But like the throws and clips that are coming out of practice, like he seems like he has the best arm of the three. But I don't know how much stock to put into that, because one, it's practice, and two, the other two's arms aren't that great either. So it's like, is he just like the best of three not great options? I don't know. It's a weird.
That's a really negative way to look at this. I mean, you're absolutely right, and that is clearly what's happening here. But what a negative take, man. I got guys. We've talked about a million times this being a year zero for Scott Frost. I keep saying this thing off the podcast that you've said is mean, and I shouldn't say on the podcast. But I've been referring to this group of quarterbacks in our text as the pre-K quarterbacks, which sounds really bad, but I don't mean it that way. It's because
it sounds worse than it is.
It sounds worse than it is. It stands for pre-Kane Archer, because I think all of these guys and this whole debate and whatever happens this season, it's all out the window once Kane Archer gets here next year. Like, everything from my perspective, and it seems like from the staff's perspective, is in on Kane Archer being that guy. As of today, preseason All-American Kane Archer, by the way, which has me a little afraid that other teams are going to begin to notice him more. But you
sent that to me, and I just replied, shh.
I was laughing.
I don't want anyone else to talk about.
Everyone stop talking about Kane Archer being good. We don't need teams like he hasn't had big offers for years anyway. But I do think that it's just maybe this is just me overly coping with it actually maybe being Cam Fancher when he's the guy we just were not talking about. But I think we just have to wrap our heads around. Odds are You never know until they get in a game, but odds are whoever is quarterback for UCF this year, whichever of the three they pick, none of them are going to be lighting it up or making it outside of the UCF ecosystem for their performance. All you can hope is you can find a guy who's just not going to lose you games. Mm-hmm. And if what they found through a scrimmage and through this stage of fall camp and spring is that no one's differentiating themselves, but maybe Cam's the one who's just making the fewest mistakes, or is just a guy who you can count on, who he's not going to go out there and win you games or make highlight plays, but maybe we'll just limit his mistakes and limit the errors and keep you in games and try to keep the offense balanced. Maybe he's building chemistry with the wide receivers and the rest of the offense better than the other quarterbacks. There was a best highlight we've had from any of fall camp or even spring camp we had today. It was a Fancher to Wade and Charles catch, which was just freaking phenomenal all the way, both the throw and the catch. Maybe it's that, but we're here after an offseason where this is like a dark horse of dark horses. I don't think anyone really was talking about him seriously being in this until these last few weeks, basically. Definitely not in spring.
That's what surprised me, I think, because even I remember in the spring, I'm trying to see if I can go back to my texts and stuff from the one scrimmage that you and I were at together, and then you went to the other one. I think he was pretty good back then, but I think there was still, for us at least, the sentiment where it was like, yeah, he's looked fine, but like we don't think he's actually in the race. And we did operate for the longest of time under it's going to be Tavid because they paid him the most. And like we talked about, I think we talked about it more on like a collaboration podcast last week with the Sons of UCF guys. Like if Scott Frost actually does play, whether it's Cam or Jakari, he's really staying true to that, and he's actually like following up on his word of, doesn't matter how much money you're getting paid, we're going to play this guy, or we're going to play the guy that's the best, the best for the job, which I think is admirable if that actually does happen. But it does seem like kind of from out of nowhere, not fully out of nowhere, because we've seen like over the last few weeks, we've seen some highlights, and it's been a little bit like, yeah, this is a 3-man race more so than maybe we felt like 4 months ago. But it does feel like I felt like after a while he would kind of just be phased out, and it's not what happened. Quite the opposite has happened. He is taking reps with the ones. So we got to believe in his candidacy here.
We're going to do this whole topic. Then tomorrow Frost is going to tweet like, proud to announce Taven Jackson as UCF starting quarterback. Like, to be fair, like we don't know if he's starting. It's just 2 weeks in a row of running with the ones. Because the other thing, and it's why it's becoming kind of a pressing issue for UCF, is even if no one's standing out, it's at the point where like you just got to pick someone to start building chemistry with the ones. Like it's like those reps matter this close to the start of the season. You can't just keep splitting it 3 ways among these guys. So I do think what you said is spot on. And I think like that is the takeaway, because I don't know. I just, no one seriously thought Cam Fancher was in this. I mean, not like, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Cause like, yes, it was a 3-man battle that became clear in spring. We've known that all the way. It just always felt like he was third of those 3. And I do think part of that is like, listen, UCF's paying Taven Jackson a lot of money. Like a lot of money. So I think that Gus Malzahn, who's doing great up at Florida State, good luck to him this season. I do think that era kind of programmed us, and it's not like this was a UCF thing only, that this happened a lot of places, but if no one is standing out, you're going to assume that they're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the guy who they're paying all the money. And I do think this is kind of, if it ends up not being Taven, whether that's Fancher or Jakari, I do think that is kind of a testament to how Frost is looking at this era differently than coaches who have been living it, because that would be a pretty unusual decision. And the other thing I want to say on that is, say that does happen. I'm sure there are some of you who are listening who are like, well, what a waste of NIL money in that situation. Like that's basically dead money at that point if you're investing in this guy who's not even going to see the field. And 2 things I'd say to that is, one, I am still highly skeptical that whoever starts the Jacksonville State game will be the starter by the end of the season. I just have a hard time seeing that with how similar they've all been. And the other thing is, I would still way rather have a coach who's willing to just put out there who they think is going to be best versus, oh, well, they should have spent that money more wisely. This is all kind of a crapshoot. The high school recruiting is a crapshoot. Portal is a crapshoot. Like, you can evaluate the best you can, but there is no way any team ever is going to make the most of every dollar they commit. It's just not possible. So I'd still way rather lean on put the guy out there you believe in than base these decisions on who's making money.
Well, and here's the case for him too, I think. And I think part of it is maybe it's part of why they do believe in him and why he's at least to a very small extent separated himself a little bit, is maybe they're not playing the guy they're paying the most, but they're playing the guy who has the most experience. Because with a team that's this, new, all these new guys, new coaching staff, not a lot of proven commodities at wide receiver, even on the offensive line, maybe you want to go with a quarterback who has the most experience, because he's clearly by far played the most games and started the most games at the college level. It was at different schools, of course, but maybe that's kind of what is separating him a little bit, is that he just might have a better command of things right now and can do what Frost needs him to do without, like you said, without losing them games. And if that's the case, cool. Like we've kind of gone through this, and I've said in the past that I still believe it, that I'm rooting for Ja'Carri, but any of these three guys, like it's not as divisive as past quarterback battles. That's for sure.
Really? Was there one that was really divisive?
I can't mention it, but yes,
you can mention one of them. I really do love, and I'm not, if you're new to listening and don't know what we're talking about, there was a quarterback battle in 2022 between two guys, and I felt we needed to stop talking about one of them because we were talking about them too much, and it's been years, so we no longer say his name on this podcast. And if you do say the name, you have to pay a penalty. So far, we've combined for, I believe, $7. So far, yeah. When I say combined, I mean it's just been me 7 times. But I was laughing because I tweeted earlier today about how if it is Fancher, that would be, in my opinion, one of the most surprising results ever. And I somehow managed to reignite multiple people arguing about that quarterback race again in the year 2025. People are still fighting about that. I seriously think that was shocking when Mikey was not named the starter that year. But I think this would be more shocking because this to me would be like if Tommy Castellanos won the job in 2022, like the third choice who like we know is there, but like no one's really considering as someone who's really in it. So I don't know. But the thing I just want to preface, I really, really want to hammer home here is whoever starts the Jacksonville State game, I really don't. This competition's going into the season. It's just going to. I think the odds with how similar those three have been through spring and through fall, the odds of whichever one they name the starter going out there and just like taking the job and playing really well, and there never being any question of, oh, maybe we should see what someone else has. There is such, especially at quarterback, for whatever reason, there is just such a difference between how players play in a game and how they practice. That's always been a thing. I think part of it is just, it's different. It's different for a player. You're going to act differently in the atmosphere of a practice versus when you're in that packed stadium and it's in a game and there's stakes and everything's on the line. So these guys are going to have to get out there. And then we'll see what happens. So I would obviously who has ever named the starter is a big deal, and that's great for them, and they're going to start that first game. But I really don't think it's just going to be over once that starter is named. I think we're going to have to see a few games into the season,
which is so weird to think about. I mean, it's happened before at other schools. It might even happen here. Like it's just still a little bit weird to think about. Like they're going to name one, and they'll probably say, yeah, but like a couple of these guys are gonna play. Like they'll both play. What if they just don't name one?
Okay, well, they cannot name one, but like there's going to be
a I know. That's what I'm saying.
In the near future where the offense will go out on the field and there will have to be a quarterback out there.
So like what are the odds that we could get to August 28th, wake up that morning and be like, I wonder who's starting tonight?
I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say no from the perspective of practice. Like they are going to have to start giving most of the first team reps to one of these guys. Maybe they already have, and it's camp. So from that perspective, I like maybe we'll announce it, but like we'll know. Like if every open media session between now and the start of the season Cam with the ones, they can announce it or not announce it. They're not going to do that and then be like, and Taven Jackson. Like we know what that means. So
yeah,
I'm just kind of curious because I don't know when. Like Jacksonville State, that's not an FCS game, guys. That does not strike me as a game where they're just going to mess around and throw 3 of them out there and see what happens. But North Carolina A&T, I don't know. I don't know how much more you learn from a quarterback against an FCS opponent. That being said, Dylan Gabriel did come out against FAMU in 2019 and threw like 3 passes, and we were like, so Wimbush is done. And sure enough, that game, Gabriel was the starter. So I don't know. But yeah, this is to some degree, it's going to go into the season. I have such a monumentally hard time wrapping my brain around the idea of the quarterback starting Jacksonville State going through this schedule with this team and there being no adversity ever and no coach or member of the fan base ever questioning if they might want to try out the 2 other guys who seemed pretty similar all of spring and fall. I don't.
It's just they named Fancher the starter. He's just awesome. He has like 35 touchdowns.
Played for
4
years.
I know.
Been.
That's why, more than anything, that's why I'm surprised. I think that he seems to be leading when taking reps with the ones, is because yes, like I just mentioned, he has the most experience, but he didn't light the world on fire in that experience. So there was a reason they brought in two guys in the portal this offseason, and he was the one we were kind of like, why'd they bring him in?
Yeah.
And now he might end up the starter. And I think it almost maybe is poetic in a way with how UCF has been lately. This offseason has been where it's like we never would have thought that this is how things would have ended up after, or even going into last year, especially. But the Frost stuff, who ended up being the defensive coordinator, like things keep happening. We're like, this is weird, and then this could be the next thing.
Let's really quickly, and then we'll talk about other things. Let's really quickly track the history of the 2025 UCF quarterback competition. So let's go all the way back. Okay. We start with Gus Malzahn announces that he is leaving, and we go to E.J. Colson season. E.J. Colson goes, absolutely not. Or I think E.J. Colson hit the portal before Gus left, right? I think it was like the Utah game ended, and that night he was like, we were doing our post.
We talked about it on the post game.
So E.J. Colson leaves. That's too bad. Gus Malzahn leaves. Hooray. Dylan Risk tweets snowflake emojis. We all go, yeah, okay. We all want it to be Dylan Risk. UCF then adds Cam Fancher. I think on our podcast, we talk about it for 2 minutes and go, nice depth piece. Hope Milton knows what he's doing there. UCF then adds Taven Jackson. We go, okay, they've got the quarterback. Then we get to spring, and it's like, Jakari actually was pretty solid in, some of his time out there. He's also like a great teammate. Like maybe it could be Jakari. So it'll really, who knows? It'll be Risk versus Taven, but maybe Jakari's in there too. Get to spring ball. Oh wait, Risk sucks. He's gone. Get him out to Stanford. He's out of here. It's a Taven versus Jakari battle. To go through all of that. Oh, and Davi Belfort gets added at some point.
Oh yeah.
We go through all of that, and then we get to the start of the season, and it goes, no, it's the guy you talked about on your podcast once for 3 minutes and said nice depth piece, and no one ever talked about for 6 months. It's him. That's a crazy, kind of a UCF-esque story in some ways.
Exactly.
So maybe,
that's what I'm saying. It's poetic.
Maybe you're right. Maybe we should all be rooting for Cam Fancher to take this job and I don't know, be out there while the offense is out there too.
I don't know.
I mean, seriously, you can call me on it if I'm wrong. Is there any reality where one quarterback starts every game this season?
No, I mean, we talked about this on our Overs and Unders podcast. We always do that lately. We've been setting it at 1.5, and we're just, I think there's obviously the injury caveat, but I just don't, when you have, like you said, all these guys who have been so similar throughout practices, throughout the spring and the fall, I don't know how you get through, again, barring, and that's why I don't think it's going to happen, but barring whoever it is going to be going out there and just being way better than they've ever been before in their careers or in their lives. Yeah, I don't see how they don't at least give some other guy a shot at some point.
You're going to love this because I've been fighting you on it all offseason. The only one that I could and I'm not predicting this obviously, but the only one who I can imagine in my brain them going out there and being way better than we anticipated is Jakari, just because he has the much more limited sample size and is probably the most athletic of the three. Like Taven and Cam Fancher, there aren't a whole lot of stories in college football. In fact, I don't believe there are any stories in college football of quarterback starts for multiple years or plays in games over multiple years and then goes to new place and is suddenly fantastic. He might be a little better. He might be a little worse. He might be a lot worse. Hello, KJ Jefferson. There's never the story where they're suddenly just way better than they were before. So I just don't. And my thing is why I'm so convinced the change is going to happen at some point is if none of them have really differentiated themselves, you can't convince me with any of them, even if Cam Fancher ends up being fine, they're not going to get through a 12-game season and there's not a quarter or two where he's struggling and things are bad. And now UCF's down 14 and he can't complete a pass. And they're not going to sit there and go, well, he's our guy. They're going to go, oh, geez, he really wasn't all that different from the other two. Maybe we see what Jakari can do. Like I just can't imagine that doesn't happen at some point this season.
We talked about the quarterback battle potentially and probably going into the season. Do you think the same guy starts the Jacksonville State and the North Carolina A&T games?
If not, something horrible is about to happen to us in 2.5 weeks. Like we're about to go through one of the worst nights of our lives if someone's getting benched off that game, right?
No, I'm not saying benched, but
they're not going to do the Michigan thing where it's like we're going to give two different guys. I don't buy that.
They could.
I don't buy that. They're not going to do that. They're absolutely not going to do that.
They go in and Fancher starts. He's fine. He goes 12 of 19 for 140 yards and a touchdown. Then they bring in Jakari, and he does fine too. And he runs for a touchdown. He goes 8 of 14 for 97 yards. It's storming at your party.
I don't know what is going on where now storms are just at podcast time. They used to, what happened, man? This is like me being old. Like when I was a kid, the storms were at like 3 p.m. That's when the storms were. And now they're at night and it's pissing me off.
I shouldn't have said anything. But so they both have similar performances. And then they're like, all right, well, we're going to give multiple guys time in the next game too. Maybe we'll throw out Jakari to start that one, but then Cam's going to come in. I don't know.
And then
That'd
what?
be
They go
kinda
to
funny.
UNC and they're like, Taven,
No,
then
they have the whole body of work out of those 2 games, and they say, all right, we've got to make a decision for UNC. This guy's going to be the starter.
You convinced me in these 30 seconds that you should, like, not that I thought so beforehand, but like, you should not ever coach football. Like, turn down those opportunities if they come your way.
No, I'm going to do it.
Well, remember when
the
Michigan
podcast
did
here.
it? Because I don't remember who was the quarterback that J.J. McCarthy replaced.
Why are you asking me this?
I don't know. You watch a lot of football. Anyway, there was a guy. Michigan had a guy. He was their quarterback, and he was like fine. And they people figured J.J. McCarthy, when he came in as a freshman, would take the job. So the way that Harbaugh did it was he gave the old guy the first game. He was like, he's going to start the first game, and then J.J. McCarthy will start the second game. And everyone was like, well, you're doing that, so then you just won't flip back from McCarthy. Like, it's easier to just do consistency. So I feel like in that model, that would be Frost saying he wants Jakar to be the starter. But no, that is not. I'm shutting this down.
Was it Cade McNamara?
Cade McNamara. Thank you. I wanted to say Sean.
That was going to
Clifford.
bother
That was the
me.
Penn State quarterback.
I had to look it up.
The only way that different guys start Jacksonville State and North Carolina A&T, there are 3 ways that can happen, and I will provide you those 3 ways right now. Way number 1, and it's the way that would be the worst, is if there's some kind of injury to whoever starts the Jacksonville State game. Way number 2 would be that whoever starts the Jacksonville State game is just god-awful, and within like a quarter or 2, they've tried
Pete DeNovo.
Pete DeNovo style. Way number 3, and it's where we cancel the podcast, is if UCF loses to Jacksonville State, which that one Twitter account who's a Jacksonville State fan did claim is going to happen because Mackenzie Milton is not going to walk through that tunnel.
Mm-hmm. You know he is. Should we?
Okay.
Should we do that?
Should we do what?
If they lose at Jacksonville State, the podcast is done.
No, don't do that. Like, I don't want to be like the FSU guy. Let's not.
Well, no, we have to do it.
We're not going to end the podcast.
We could.
We could just change.
It's my way of telling you I'm just looking for an excuse to leave.
That would be. You just keep upping it. You're like, what if say UCF doesn't? They're not a top 10 team this year. Should we just end the podcast?
If UCF doesn't win by 35 this week, then we're done.
If UCF loses to Jacksonville State, I really don't know what I'd do with myself at that point.
The post-game pod would be fun.
I'll commit to, like, man, would we even want to do a pod? I mean, we have to, but
we have to.
Be like us and 3
unless
people.
we said you'll never hear from us again if they lose. Why do we get into this? Where this? I mean, no, it was the possibility.
My problem is it's not that. It's me realizing my fear of committing to this is I'm like, am I worried about this game? Like, why can't I just commit to this? Like, why am I freaked out about?
Yeah. If it's a fake game as you truly proclaim, then
it's a little bit less of a fake game than because I don't know. If it's a fake game like you proclaim, then we will take aim and enter a podcast. I don't know. I just I don't like this. Let's not talk about this right now.
All right, let's get on.
We'll do this for the pre.
Yeah, we ended up doing like 20 minutes on that. We've got some other stuff we want to get through about just kind of the scrimmage last week, and then you were at Frost's presser afterwards, and then this episode, as you probably see from the title, is our bold predictions for the 2025 season. So, bold prediction number 1: they're going to lose to Jacksonville State. Podcast over.
Stop it.
And so other stuff, just other notes that I obviously wasn't there. I gathered through reporting and stuff we've seen and stuff Frost talked about. The D-line was looking as advertised. They had a goal line session that Frost talked about where D-line held them out of the end zone, looking strong, like they're ready to go. It's funny because at the time I wrote these notes, I said still no separation at quarterback, which may still be true, but we just spent 20 minutes on who is running with the ones right now. And overall, as Frost was saying, they're pretty sloppy on offense, which I think is to be expected when you've got 3 quarterbacks cycling through and you've got probably 9 or 10 different receivers cycling through and an offensive line, you don't really know. It's not set yet. But other than that, like, I guess, so Kelly Lawson, Lewis Carter, leading the way at linebacker, like some of the stuff, it's kind of coming to fruition. Like, we know who is going to be making up the defense for the most part. And because of that, the defense is looking better than the offense in the scrimmage. That's kind of the vibe you got from Frost, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of just how the way this always goes. One of my favorite, this is the thing that sucks about scrimmages, is every good thing is a bad thing. And we always talk about that, and Frost kind of talked about that too at the presser, which I thought was funny because some coaches don't like to come out and say that, but he was talking about how, offense does something good, and you're like, well, what's wrong with the defense? Defense does something good, and you're like, man, we're not going to score any points. My favorite example of that was because he was really down, he was pretty down on the offense during this presser. Mm-hmm. And one thing I want to say really quickly is because I saw a lot of fans I don't know. I saw some fans apparently realize for the first time that UCF probably isn't going to be good this year when Frost was talking about the team that way. But I do want to say when you're a coach, you kind of just have to be negative about the first scrimmage, no matter what happened in the scrimmage. You can't publicly be like, with the first game 2 weeks out, go up there and say, no, we're great. Yeah, it's time to take the foot off the pedal. Like, we're fine. Everyone's doing it. You got to push your team and you got to push them to get better. That's what you do. That's the message you put out there. But my favorite part was he was so down on the offense and just it was sloppy and they were struggling. And he said a lot of hands on the ball, like lots of bad stuff. And I don't remember who someone in the room asked, well, was there anything good about the offense? Like any good takeaways? And he goes, and he was like, yeah, no, he was like, there were some really good deep balls downfield, some really good catches. And he pauses and he's like thinking to himself and it's like an aside. He's like, so we got to go figure out what went wrong with the defense on those. It's just, there's no winning from a scrimmage.
We have the same thing. Like actually Todd Bowles talked about it recently after one of the Bucs practices. Somebody asked him like, oh, you like to see your defensive backs, getting their hands on the ball and taking the ball away. And he goes, oh, it depends on what side of the ball I'm on that day. Because he's a defensive-minded coach, but, like, he also is the head coach. So he's like, it depends. He's like, I was with the offense today, so, on offense, we got to take care of the football. Just like, but I do like to see it, but we got to take care of the football. It's just like back and forth, like you're getting caught. And he goes, that's not me speaking out of both sides of my mouth, even though it literally was. Yeah, it's tough with scrimmages because nothing can go right fully.
No.
Unless it's like a perfectly thrown ball that was great coverage that just happened to be slightly better. Like the defensive back couldn't have done anything better. That was kind of what we saw today on the throw from Cam Fancher to Wade and Charles. It was good coverage.
That was best play we've seen by far from.
It's like if that happened on every play, where it's like the coverage was so great, but it just happened to be a perfectly placed ball by the offense.
I do wonder like what practice is like at like, I don't know, like who's like Georgia, right? Because it's just like everything, it's just nothing but, I don't know. It's probably the same thing. Honestly, Kirby Smart's probably saying they were doing the exact same thing. So I don't know. But yeah, one of my other favorite call outs from the presser was Frost was obviously asked a lot about the quarterbacks and he maintained just no one's really standing out yet. He talked about that if he didn't, I want to be clear because a lot of people were running with, Frost says that they're considering a 2 quarterback system. He was kind of like, he was asked if they would do that. And his answer was, well, we'll do whatever we need to do to win. It's not like he came to us with that idea. He was asked about that specifically, but I did like, he's mentioned that he asked Alex Grinch recently from a defensive perspective. He was like, who do you think standing out quarterback? And he said that Grinch just said, all 3 are better than they were in spring. And I'm like, great answer, Alex Grinch. Like, he's like, I'm not committing anything to this. Like, you have to decide. I'm not saying a word. 1
point for Alex Grinch. I like that. Other than that, I mean, a couple injuries that have been picked up. Tavion Swint, Isaiah Nixon, Cole Kozlowski were guys mentioned who were dealing with some injuries. Anything else that I know you didn't get to watch the scrimmage. You had to sit in your car for it, but anything else that you want to talk about that Frost said or didn't?
I was laughing a little bit because we talked about before Gus, guarding state secrets with how he ran the program, and Frost is not really like that. Scrimmage was not open to media, but I was laughing by just how casual it was. Like I was walking to the media room and the scrimmage was still going on. They just had the gates wide open and the whole team's just out there scrimmaging. And I'm like, Gus would have like armed guards here, like making sure.
What would have happened had you walked through the gate and just stood there?
I would have not been allowed to go to any more press conferences.
Well, yeah, I know that. I'm just saying, like, it's just funny that, like,
I don't know. It was kind of
would they have sent security at you, or would somebody have just been like, "Hey, you can't be in here"? Like,
I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe they would have been like, maybe Frost would have walked up and been like, "Who do you think looks good of these quarterbacks? We just can't figure it out."
You could have said they all look better than the last time I saw them.
I would have been, when I was here in spring, they all look better. Risk doesn't, because I don't see him out here. But
yeah, where's that number 10 guy? Isn't Davi Belfort wearing number 10 now or something?
I wanted to say that, but because I wanted to be like, number 10 looks different, but I couldn't remember if I think he's wearing number 10.
I saw a highlight of like today of somebody wearing number 10. I might be wrong.
I know number 10 is just a very common quarterback number, but it still bothers me when UCF players wear it, which is stupid because it's not a thing in college football at all.
Yeah, you just can't retire it, but they should. Yeah, I don't know. I want to look this up for no reason at all. Just I'm curious. I thought I saw number 10 at practice today. One of my other favorite things, because obviously Davi Belfort is not in this competition at all. Mm-hmm. Even if he just got here. Like that was never going to be a thing anyway. But I think he's more of a future piece. But I have liked his number 10. Of course he is. There's been what a legacy that number has for UCF. There've been multiple times in the press conferences where
Frost is given a question like, how are the quarterbacks looking? And he's like, oh, it's, these three guys are all looking really good. And, it's like, it's just figuring out, no one's standing out yet. We're looking for consistency. On and on. He'll talk for 2 minutes. Then he'll be like, oh, and Davi did some good things.
He is the third quarterback since Mackenzie Milton to wear number 10.
The third. Oh, right. Yeah. Because,
Oop.
Almost said it.
All right, anything else from
this is the stupidest thing we do on this podcast is the ban. It's so much dumber than I thought it was going to be. That's it. I had no other thoughts.
Okay, cool. I'm just happy that we're getting there.
I'm just happy that we have still more than a month before we have to watch UCF actually lose a game. So
yeah. So here we go into our 2025 bold predictions, and I have to tell you that once I started doing this, and this, I'm very curious how this is going to go, because I said this to you before the podcast and you said the complete opposite. It took me a while to get 3 predictions. I had no idea what to put down on my list for these 3 predictions. And it made me realize that obviously we've talked about how many unknowns there are, but it made me realize how much I don't know how I feel about what's going to happen this year. And I think this predictions podcast came up on a good day for me, because my first 2 bold predictions are very positive, and I didn't really know that I felt this way until about 2 hours ago. So you can tell that I've thought them through very much. But
my predictions came to me as if in a fever dream. They just appeared before me, and it took me moments to come up with all 3.
Yeah, you said they were already in your head, and these for me were not thoughts that I had considered at all until now. But I got kind of creative with them. They're really sort of abstract, but
okay. Why don't we start with one of yours?
Okay, I'm going to start with the one that I think we have talked about before, and it's not that abstract.
Remember, by the way, it has to be bold. These are bold predictions.
Yeah, this is the one that I mentioned to you earlier, where you said, "Oh no, you'll probably be fine. Just keep that one." And then you said, "I can't wait till I tell you to keep it," and then tell you on the podcast it's not bold enough. So we'll see.
Let's see.
My first bold prediction, if we want to call it that, and I'm prepared to up it, so don't come at me. UCF will win at least 2 out of its 3 games in October.
Whoa, calm down, man.
Is that bold enough for you?
So
if not, I'm just going to go 3-0.
There's calm down. It's going to be fine. We're going to get through this together. It's not bold in the traditional sense, but it is bold in the UCF sense, since they
I have backup for this.
That one. So yeah, I will say that is a bold prediction, given how things have been for them. And given how they may be this year, I think it is very bold of you to think that they will win 2 of those 3 games.
They play home against Kansas, at Cincinnati, and home against West Virginia.
Which of the 2 do you have?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think they're going to beat Cincinnati, and I think they could win both of the other games, especially because they're at home. So they could go through. I wouldn't be stunned. Well, maybe I would because it's October. But they're 3 winnable games. As crazy as that sounds for where we are right now. But UCF they're 0-7 in October in the last 2 years. Obviously, we've been over that. They're 8-12 in October since 2020.
It's not good.
They're 26-16 in all other months.
That is so stupid. That is actually so stupid.
I didn't realize how deep the problem ran. I thought it was just the last 2 years. But then I started thinking back to it, and I was like, well, there's some other seasons actually where they maybe lost only 2 or 3 games, but 2 of them came in October. So I don't know. I think Cincinnati and West Virginia would be the 2 I'd pick if I had to pick, but I think they can beat Kansas too.
Yeah, Kansas is. I'm a little more hesitant on Kansas because they feel like in some ways the biggest question mark of those 3, because it just feels like, I don't know, they have Jalen Daniels is back. They should. I don't know. I'm curious about Kansas. I feel like people are discounting them a little too much just because they fell off a bit last year. But I don't know. I think
they finished strong last year, right? That's what it was.
Strong,
they finished strong, but they were still, I think, a 7-win team or 6-win team. Or no, they may not make a bowl. 5-7. That's right.
That's what I'm saying. I think people just see that and go, "Oh," but I don't know. But yeah, Cincinnati. I don't even know. That might be Satterfield might be on his last legs by the time that game rolls around. And West Virginia is another crapshoot like UCF, where they're in the exact same boat as UCF, where they had to build a whole roster together. The difference being UCF actually did a better job of retaining some of their top players as West Virginia did. So,
and I don't know. I'm so puzzled on Kansas because the Jalen Daniels thing, I understand he is talented, but I think he's 2 years removed from being really good. He had an injury issues, either both of the last 2 years, or he had injury issues 1 year, and last year he wasn't the best. So I don't know. I almost wonder if, because he's been in college for maybe 5 or 6 years now, if he gets by on a little bit more name recognition than being an actual star. But I think he's good. He's a good quarterback. I just don't know what to make of the entire team. And the game being at home, hopefully the bounce house is more like the bounce house this year. And maybe UCF's going into that game at, 3-1, hopefully?
Yeah.
I mean, at worst, hopefully it's 2-2. But I don't know. I think – I don't know. Maybe am I underrating Cincinnati?
We might all be underrating Cincinnati because everyone's just kind of – this is like Billy Napier with Florida last year. Everyone's just kind of decreed that this project is over and it's going to end badly this year. So if it doesn't happen, sure. But I don't know. Part of me is just like I've just been willfully blinded by how unimpressed I was with Nipper when we went in 2023. And I just no longer consider that a real road game, which is hilarious because it was like considered one of the best environments in the G5. And I was just so – I mean, I'm not like –
still almost lost that game.
I know I'm they're fine. I know I'm biased here because I don't care for Cincinnati, but like am I wrong? Like I remember being shocked. Like I was expecting a good environment and it was full. Like there were fans there. It just was like the energy was just like absolutely non-existent.
That's the thing is because they were not good. And I don't think they're going to be that good this year either. Yeah. Now this maybe changes. I don't know. I don't remember what their schedule is like well before this. I know they opened with Nebraska, but like say they beat Nebraska in that game somehow and they start out really well. Then that's going to change my tune, obviously.
But I really want them them beating Nebraska would be great for a few reasons. It would be great because Big 12 dominance, go hell yeah. It also would just further the narrative that Nebraska isn't Frost's fault because that would be objectively hilarious if they can't beat Cincinnati in year 2 of the Matt Rule era.
I think because that game's on the Thursday night. That's the 9:00 game on the Thursday, and I think
there's also the game that Cincinnati just backed out of having a home game. They were like, "That's fine, we can do it at Arrowhead."
I think I'm glad that I don't get to watch it, even though I kind of want to, because I don't know how to feel about it. Because, like you just said, it would be funnier if Cincinnati win, but I can't bring myself to say I hope Cincinnati wins. I can.
Guys, this is a perilous time in college football. The Big 12 needs to look good every chance it has. Like I'm not conflicted on that. That would be preferable for the Big 12 to have a Big 10 win. Bailey's just more of a hater than me. People have often said
it. Yeah. I think it's just I try to remove myself as much as I can from all the perilous college football stuff, even though it's kind of impossible. But I don't know.
Kansas, by the way, on the topic of whether that's a tough game or not. So Jalen Daniels is back. I'm looking at my notes from when we did our Terrified podcast. They only returned 3 offensive starters. It's him and 2 offensive linemen. Their defense is mostly turned over too. So, yeah.
It feels like stuff. Like that's what's so annoying. It's I'm like I'm thinking about that. You tell me that, and I'm like, oh, almost an entirely new offense. They do have a good quarterback, but an entirely new offense against what's UCF's potential strength on is its defense. And then I'm just like, well, then the offense just has to do enough. And that's going to be pretty much every game this year because I think the defense is going to be pretty solid. So
the wild card in all of these is there's such a wide range right here as we talk about this of what UCF is. Like they could be terrible. This could be an awful team, or they could be okay. We just don't know. They're anywhere on the scale of I don't know. We have no idea what to expect. It's so
my second. We'll get to your first one in a second. My second one is stupid the more I look at it, but
I look forward to never having to do this again, where we have to try to talk about a team that has 70 freaking new players. Like this is.
It could happen again.
Probably going to happen in 2 years when Frost gets fired or something. Like we'll be right back, but I'm sick of it.
Let's hear your first bold prediction.
Glad that I just did that rant. 2 of my 3 are positive predictions, and now I'm going to be all positive after saying that. But this is, maybe I don't want to do this one first. Yeah, let's do this one first. I went bold. One of my bold predictions is that UCF will not lose a Big 12 home game in 2025.
I like that.
When you look at the schedule, it's bold, but it actually doesn't seem that insane. Their Big 12 home games are. You have your schedule on the wall. Is that why you moved your head to this? Okay. Yeah. The home slate for the Big 12 for UCF this year, it's 4 games. It's Kansas, West Virginia, Houston, and Oklahoma State. The Big 12, because they're stupid, no longer release a preseason poll, but USA Today did pull all the media and put one together anyway. Those teams in the Big 12 preseason poll rank 9th, 12th, 14th, and 16th. They don't play a top half team from this conference at home. Now, I know we don't know anything right now, but based on what we know right now, those are 4 really, really, really winnable games. Maybe games where UCF will be favored in all of them potentially. Except
it's funny. What's funny about that is I agree with you that it's bold, but when you look at the opponents, it's not that bold. But it still is because you're asking for pure consistency from UCF in a season where we don't they could be better than all four of these teams, but we also have no idea.
This is also me predicting a bowl, because if they do this and with the 2 fake games, they go to a bowl.
Oh, well, if you're questioning that, you're gonna love my next prediction.
Oh, God.
So.
Do
you want to talk about that one anymore or no?
Yeah, let me just really quickly, because again, keep in mind, last year, I will never forget that we were the 2 easy gimme games on UCF's schedule are BYU and Arizona State, and they ended up being 2 top 15 teams. So my caveats for each one: Kansas, like I said, they still have Jalen Daniels. He's a really good quarterback. Things could come together for them. They also have Lance Leipold, who's just flat out one of the best in the country. So it would not surprise me if they bounce back. Houston also has a really good coach in Willie Fritz. And my issue with Houston, that when I read about them, is it seems like everyone's just well, they're Houston. They suck, so they'll be bad again. They're not going to be bad forever. They're eventually going to have a good season, and that could be this season, but it's also the space game. West Virginia, I don't have anything. I think UCF's going to be West Virginia, hopefully. Oklahoma State, all I'd say for them is they've done this with Gundy before, where they drop down and have these shocking seasons, but then they never stay down. They always bounce back, and they've really gotten their NIL operation together. So based on what we know now, it seems like an easy slate. Doesn't mean it is, but I don't know.
You say that, but did you know, now I'm misremembering the stat maybe. Was this past season only Gundy's second losing season? Is that possible?
I think that might be possible, yeah.
He's been there for 30 years.
Been really good.
So even when they've dropped down in the past, you said, that's still –
I don't think he's been there for 30 years, by the way.
He's been there for 27, I think it is.
I don't believe you.
Let me double check. He has been there since 2005.
Okay, that's 20
years. So that's 20 years.
You spotted him a decade.
Yeah, I did. I mean, he technically got there in 2001 as the assistant head coach in OC. I don't remember.
His records there: 4-7, 7-6, 7-6, 9-4, 9-4, 11-2, 12-1, 8-5, 10-3, 7-6, 10-3, 10-3, 10-3, 7-6, 8-5, 8-3, 12-2, 7-6, 10-4, 3-9.
So yeah, even when they've dropped down in the past, they have been 7. Who is it that's been they're the school in the Big 12 for 27 years?
I don't know. I don't think any. Kyle Whittingham at Utah.
That's okay. That's what I'm thinking of then. I don't know. Maybe.
Let me look up how long Kyle Whittingham has been. I like it. People are like, "Oh, I'm going to listen to this cool podcast about UCF," and we're like, "How long has Kyle Whittingham been with Utah?"
What's the thing is we have never
2005. He's been there exactly as long as Gundy has.
Then what am I thinking of, dude?
I don't know.
This is bad.
I really don't think there is a coach. Are you thinking of Bill Snyder when he was at Kansas State?
No.
Okay.
See, I've never done this before, and I'm probably not going to do it now. But I thought I read it in this magazine that I have that's across the room. I don't think I've ever left my seat during the podcast, but I kind of want to go get it.
There is not a coach in the Big 12 who's been with their team for 30 years. I'm just telling you there is not.
But I want to know what I'm thinking of.
Well, you're not thinking of a Big 12 team.
Fine. I don't know what to do. I feel like
Scott Frost at UCF. He's been here since 2017, except for a short break.
I couldn't believe, I was reading this earlier too. Whenever I know he's obviously been gone for a while, but when you put it down he's been gone for 8 years.
Yeah, it's making me question my own mortality, my own. It's just crazy to me that it does not. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. It really doesn't. But it's been a whole significant amount of time.
It has.
But anyway, we've spent a lot of time on 2 predictions, and now we're at 43 minutes. So let's go get the other 4 predictions.
We're doing great. My second prediction is literally insane, and I don't. You know what? I'm going to say I do. I believe it. UCF will clinch bowl eligibility with a win in the space game.
Hold on.
I have a couple roadmaps to it before you, if you're going to look at how that could happen.
Go ahead. Hit us with the roadmaps.
The first one is they win the first 2 and they beat UNC, so they're 3-0. They go 2-1 in October, like I said. That would have them at 5 wins. And if they beat Houston, there you go. That's happened. The other one is they win the first 2, and if they drop UNC, then they'd have to go 3-0 in October, which, like I just said, they could do. And then you enter Houston at 5-3.
Let's get some real views on this podcast. My next prediction is that UCF's going to go to the playoff. No, I see the path. I'm just hesitant to. You know what's funny about that is that would really be repeating 2016. Because remember in 2016, they clinched bowl eligibility pretty early. It was against Cincinnati. And then they lost 3 straight to close the year.
Yeah.
That was that. But I don't know. I guess it's just if they are going to be good enough to go to a bowl, a lot of the wins they need for that are earlier in the schedule.
Yeah. But even if you throw in, like, if whatever I just said doesn't happen, even if you throw in like a surprise win at Baylor, like, I don't know, I could just see them going into Houston with 5 wins somehow. In multiple different ways they can get there. And this is why, like, I told you, I don't know if I said it on the podcast. I'm blurring the lines of what I said to you before the podcast, but the predictions podcast basically came on a good day for me, where I felt like being positive and being hopeful about UCF season. So that's where this was born out of. But I wouldn't, like, if you asked me this, maybe if I had a bad day last week, if you asked me this and put this to me, I'd be like, you're insane.
Here's what you're predicting. No matter what route you want to take, all you're predicting is this: North Carolina at Kansas State, Kansas at Cincinnati, West Virginia at Baylor. You're predicting 3-3.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
So are you now saying this is not bold?
I'm not.
But the way you deconstructed that made me feel like it's less bold than I originally thought it was.
I think 3-3 on that. So that when UCF, keep in mind that this is a UCF team. How many Power 4 wins has UCF had in 2 years? They'd be like matching their number of Power 4 wins, basically. Well, no, because they've had 5. But again, some of those are fake because it's been like Houston and Cincinnati and stuff. So, like, yeah, I think you could argue that's bold, but it's just I hate this year. I'm sick of this year, and it hasn't started. There's no way to know frickin' anything about this team. Like, we're just predicting nonsense. It's 70 new players. I don't know what you want us to say. But anyway, my next prediction on that note is, and this is my boldest.
Okay.
UCF will have a top 4 defense in the Big 12 this year.
Okay, I thought you were going to say the top 4 defense in the country, and I was like, how did you get there?
No.
Top 4 in the Big 12.
And let me tell you, this might be stupid as hell because UCF returns 48% of their production on defense, which does have them dead last in the conference. So there is that to consider. And I got here in 2 ways. Yeah, I know. I was a little surprised by that.
Percent being dead last is kind of crazy.
It's dead last by a lot. Everyone else is like 55% or higher, even West Virginia. I got here, I was going to say in 2 ways, but I really got here in 3 ways. The first way was blind hope. The second way, the second way was when I do this activity where I write down the names of the players UCF has on defense, I quickly get very excited about the defense. I just feel like they have a lot of playmakers, and I feel like they're going to catch some teams off guard. I'm kind of banking on Alex Grinch being more the Alex Grinch he was early in his career and not the one that we're terrified of. And the other way that I got here, which surprised me a little bit, was you look at the Big 12 up and down, there aren't a lot of teams that feel really great about where their defenses are at, especially the teams that are supposed to be some of the top teams in the conference. Like Texas Tech, yes, they really believe in their defense, but it's super transfer heavy, and we don't know if it's all going to come together. K-State's secondary is in flux. Arizona State, everyone's high on them, and it's all about the offense. The defense was good last year, but it's more of a question mark. Baylor's coming off a really bad year defensively. Iowa State's whole defense turned over. There aren't a bunch of established elite defenses in this conference. So I don't know. Can UCF go from last in returning production to one of the top defenses in the league? I kind of think, yeah.
I can see it. Without knowing, obviously, who these other programs are replacing those guys with, because there's 2 ways that I'm thinking about it and looking at it is, there's a couple of the teams that you mentioned just now. I know that their defenses are kind of in a transitionary period because they just sent a bunch of guys to the NFL. And I'm like, all right, well, if they just sent a bunch of guys to the NFL, they probably either were able to get those guys with money through the portal, or they've been recruiting on defense really well, and they have a good defensive staff. So that scares me. But also, it's hard to replace NFL players. So there's no guarantee that happens. So I don't know. I like it. I hope it happens.
None of us know anything, really, but yeah.
So,
cool.
Quick recap on my 2, because I love the way I set these up. UCF will win at least 2 out of the 3 games in October. They'll maybe be 3-0 in those games. They'll clinch bowl eligibility on November 7th. My third prediction, UCF is going to get absolutely boat raced by Kansas State in Manhattan. I think they're going to lose that game magnificently badly.
Is that going to be the game that's going to be the worst?
To me, that's what I think. So it could. I know it could be Texas Tech, because they're getting all this pub and for good reason. The roster was worth $700 billion. I'm continuing the thing where we just up it every time we talk about them. But I don't know, something about it just feels like this could happen. It feels like they're going to beat UNC. They're going to be 3-0. We're going to be like, man, maybe this team might actually be we're going to fall into the trap again. Maybe this team might actually be pretty decent. Like, I'm surprised they put this together. Then they're going to go to Manhattan and they're going to lose like 45-7. Something.
I really can. Oh God! Don't even say scores like that. Please.
It's something like I'm saying. It's gonna. That's what this prediction is. That they're gonna get absolutely hammered in this game.
My issue is I was about to I was going because I said to you, I'm like, is that the game that's gonna be the worst? And I looked at the road schedule. I was like, they might lose all of these really badly. Like except at Kansas State, at Baylor, at Texas Tech, at BYU, they can just get trashed in all those games. I don't think they will. Maybe I do think they will. Who knows? This could be you know what I want from this year? New goal. Just reestablish the bounce house as a tough place to play. I don't really care what you do on the road. I
almost went with something like that. Because, you said the Big 12 home game thing. I almost went with something like that because I believe we've talked about it. Their toughest games are on the road.
Yeah.
By far.
Which is good. Well, yeah. I think it's good. In this type of season, but I don't know. I actually do think there's something to that because in this type of season where you don't have loftier goals anyway, like if UCF was trying to win the Big 12 this year, yeah, that'd be frustrating. But you're like this, it's like, remove the variables. Like just put the easy games at home, gives you a better chance to get some of those wins and just move on, you know?
The other thing I have on this one too is and I don't know if this is some kind of like cosmic balance thing, but UCF was surprisingly in the game against Kansas State in 2023 when they went there. And I just don't think that's going to happen this time because I don't think it was supposed to happen that time. I think this Kansas State team is better than that team was, and I think this UCF team is worse than that team was. So, yeah, I think this is going to be bad.
There's something so awful, and I'm glad it's not something that I ever could have communicated to my younger self about UCF going to Kansas State in 2023 and it being like pretty competitive. And us being like, that show they got ready for this, and it's like fast forward 2 years later, they go back and it's just way worse. Like they've just gotten worse in every way.
That is true. Yeah. Anyway, that's my 3. What's your third one?
My third one, again, I gave you guys 2 positive ones, so now time for the negative one. By the halfway point of the season, UCF Twitter will be seriously discussing firing Frost.
Oh no.
I know you guys. I know you better than you know yourselves. And I am certain that I'm certain of this. It is going to take exactly 2 losses. And wherever it happens in the schedule, by the time the second loss hits, all of you are going to be like, we made a mistake. Like we should have gotten Barry Odom, should have gotten whoever. I promise you it's coming. It's going to take 2 losses and you all will be there. I'm right.
I don't think I agree with this one.
Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you.
Well, so wait. Let me look at it. Halfway point in the season.
Yes.
4, 5, 6 is after the Cincinnati game.
Yep.
So you're saying if they're 4-2,
yes.
2 wins away from a bowl, that people are going to want to talk about firing him?
You want to put money on it?
No.
First off, they're not going to be 4-2. So let's just put that one out right now. But yeah.
So are you saying they're going to lose to North Carolina?
They could.
Well, but that's what you're predicting right now.
Not necessarily. They could lose Kansas State and Kansas.
They can't lose Kansas if your other prediction is going to coexist.
My predictions don't have to exist. Okay, so hold on. I have to make this make sense. I really didn't do that. Okay, let's think about this.
You can't. You said they're going to win all their Big 12 home games.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so you're fine. They're going to they're going to beat Jacksonville State and North Carolina A&T. They're going to lose to North Carolina. They're going to lose to Kansas State. When that happens, people will be freaking the hell out.
When they're 2-2?
Yes. You know they will. Especially if we're combining our predictions and they all live together and they just lost 45-7. Yeah, people are going to be upset.
Yeah, people are going to be upset. I don't know. I don't think people give up on Frost that quickly.
People gave up on Milton after a quarter in 2016. Like these people do not wait around. I'm telling you, I really do. Because I think that people are starting to get nervous. I think it was all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns and whatever, like back when it was, him first getting hired and there was a honeymoon phase, and it already feels like the honeymoon phase is starting to, I don't know. It's been interesting to see the vibe shifts just from him saying the scrimmage didn't go well. I really think people, because the other thing you have to remember is, and to be clear, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm not even really necessarily talking about you. Like, you have to understand that we understand what the season's supposed to be. Good chunk of the fan base does. There are a lot. You can go on UCF. I should throw up a poll right now and ask how many games UCF should win this year, because you would be surprised how much of the fan base still is just in the mode of like, Frost is back.
We did this before, though, because you put up a poll, and we were actually pleasantly surprised by how many people. But do you think now it's closer to the season, that's why? Like it's because we're closer.
I'm going to do it right now.
Everyone's temperature has changed. Because do you not remember doing that though?
I do remember that. Quick,
yeah, and people were actually like pretty reasonable.
Was that for this season? I thought that was last season.
I believe it was for this season. I don't remember what point in the offseason it was, but I believe that was for this season because I remember thinking, wow, people are actually like looking at it kind of reasonably, like we are. But maybe maybe you're right. Maybe because it's closer to the season, we're 16 days out, that it's changed and everyone's going to freak out.
Okay, help me out with what the poll option should be. The tweet is quick temperature check on where the fan base is at.
But
how many games does UCF need to win for you to consider this a successful season? What should the poll options be?
I almost want to go. Hold on. If we can just keep talking and doing filler, I almost want to find.
Well, hold on. Let's get this poll up because I want to see if we can talk results before.
I know, but I'm trying to figure out what your last poll said.
Yeah, I'm saying this is more important. Let's focus on this because I want to get this.
I know, but I think it would be good to frame it if we frame it the exact same way.
Just tell me what to put. What win should I put for each option?
Ask me the question again.
How many games does UCF need to win for you to consider this a successful season?
10 plus.
You're kidding me. That's going to be one of the options. Is going to be 10 plus. We only have 4 options here.
What do you want? What do you want it to be then? Why are you asking
I don't
me?
know. I'm trying to decide if it should be like, is 4 an option? Should I do 5 or 6, 6 or 7?
Yeah, like do ranges.
Well, okay. You're not being helpful.
Okay. Then don't ask me ever again.
I'm going to do 4, 5.
This is the worst.
Because I don't think I can put 4 and 5 together because I think people are going to react very differently to 4 than they are to 5.
Don't then. Do 4 or less. No, well, that's not going to be. Nobody's going to pick that one. So I don't know.
Okay, 5 or less, 6, 7 or 8, 9
bad.
plus is what I'm going to do.
We're going to end the podcast.
All right, I have 9 or more, 7 or 8, 6, 5 or less. That seems fine. That's a weird whatever. We're just doing it. All right, it's posted. We'll see if we get any replies before we're done recording. But okay.
This is bad.
Cool. We did it.
I tried to find on your Twitter whenever you said temperature before.
I definitely haven't used that wording before.
You have, but it was for Frost or Barry Odom.
Oh, how did people line up on that?
91% voted for Scott Frost.
91% is
out of 798 votes. Anyway. That's it. That's the end of those predictions. Move on to the football news, and as I'm going through this, we'll see if people start voting. Football news.
I was about to go, hey guys, if you're listening, go vote in the poll.
Great. Yeah, if you haven't voted yet, go do it. But we're not going to be able to talk about the results until next week anyway. Jaden Nixon and Miles Montgomery were named to the Doak Walker Award watch list. It's the award given to the nation's top running back. A couple of UCF in the NFL updates. Preseason started, as you mentioned earlier. Christian, you were the first one to bring up NFL preseason, not me. Jacoby Jones scored a touchdown for the Commanders on Friday night. Kalia Davis registered a sack for the 49ers on Saturday. And in his preseason debut for the Broncos, R.J. Harvey ran 7 times for 25 yards, and he caught another pass for 4 yards. Largely pretty well-received debut for him. I think a lot of people are expecting a lot from him.
It was really cool seeing some NFL accounts tweeting oh wow, that was really impressive by him.
Yeah, I saw somebody posted one earlier. I got to go back and watch it. It was it said every snap of RJ Harvey's preseason debut. So it's a few minutes, and I just want to go back and watch that and see how it was. The AP Top 25 dropped, which is another sign that we're getting very close to the season getting underway. The Big 12 has 4 teams in the top 25. Number 11, Arizona State. Number 17, Kansas State, who UCF plays, obviously, that you talked about. Number 22, Iowa State, and number 23, Texas Tech, another team on UCF's schedule. BYU, Utah, and Baylor were in the top 3 in the receiving votes category. So a lot of Big 12 teams right there bubbling up on the surface. I think, who are the other ones? I think TCU and Colorado were other ones that received votes. So, yeah, Big 12 is very even, as Scott Frost and everyone has said. So we'll see. It's going to be a lot of chaos as usual. But tweet of the week.
Tweet of the week. Tweet of the week this week is a poll that I just put up. Let's talk about the results really quickly. We have are you ready? In the last 2 minutes since I put this up, we have 5 votes. So we have a lot to talk about here. 80% for 6 wins, 20% for 7 or 8 wins.
Okay.
So I don't really know. You might be winning this right now. Oh, we're up to 6 votes. Someone else voted for 6 wins. Apparently everyone's in Make-A-Bowl now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my prediction is being disproven.
That's what I think. But
they're lying, Bailey. They're lying to themselves. They're lying to themselves. They are right now say they're fine with that.
That's what you should be more mad about.
About what?
They're lying to you.
That's fine. I don't care. But they think this now. I know how sports fans' minds work. It's all fine when it's hypothetical. We talked about this in 2023 when everyone was like, well, which, I was about to say they were all mad that year, even though they went to a bowl, which was the goal. But, 5-game losing streak did hurt that.
Yeah.
I think there's more trepidation than there was before. And I think that Frost's, I don't think his built-in goodwill is going to last as long as we think, is the point I'm trying to make. I think once the losses start coming, I think people are going to, in some ways, be more eager to bail because of the type of hire it was, if that makes sense.
I finally found the poll way too late. The poll that you did back on January 21st. You said, help us out, literally as we record the pod. So we did this on the podcast. And you said, what number of wins is acceptable to you for UCF football next year? And 13% said 4 or 5 wins. 62% said 6 or 7 wins. 19% said 8 or 9 wins. And 6% said 10-plus wins.
That's a way better poll. We should have done it that way.
Well, that's why I hate you so much.
I just said that to piss you off.
Okay, whatever. I should have recognized that. I did right as I was saying I hate. So whatever.
We're up to 15 votes.
Okay.
Someone's voted for 9 or more.
Stay on the podcast to keep we're up to 21 votes.
So I was about to say someone voted for 9 or more, but Trace Trilko just replied and said 12 an exclamation point. So I think we know who voted for that one. We're at 13% for 9 or more, which I think is 1 vote. 20% for 7 or 8, 47% for 6, and 20% for 5 or less through 15 votes.
Cool.
I feel like we're doing a telethon right now.
I know, this is ridiculous.
And now a performance from, I don't know.
We're going to take your calls live. I forgot my phone is not cooperating. I was going to go vote in it right now, but I can't.
I really didn't have a tweet of the week, but I felt it was a combination of me feeling I didn't want to extend the podcast too much, and also I was a little nervous about this tweet of the week, and I told Bailey I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it, so we're going to skip it.
So the tweet of the week is your poll.
The tweet of the week is my own poll.
Your own poll, having the potential to prove one of, well, not really, because if you're going to operate under the fact that you think that they're lying to themselves.
20 votes. Now that we're ending the podcast, I should just delete the poll. I should just remove it. It's like, all right, we got what we needed.
I'm curious to know. Did you delete it?
No.
Oh, something just said, an error occurred, or an error was encountered in the replies to your tweet. So I just didn't know what happened.
I'm trying to think what an average fan would think went through my brain if I asked for people's opinions on how, like, this very innocuous question of how many games they need to win and saw 20 votes, just deleted it. Like, I don't even know what the reason it would be.
Oh my gosh, this podcast is in mid-season form already.
Can't wait.
In the sense that we've already kind of gone insane and we don't really know what's going on.
Have we said more formally that we locked in? We are in fact doing the post-game pods live this year. Have we said on the podcast?
Sure haven't, and this was a very great way to break that news.
Well, but no one's here anyway because it's an hour and 2 minutes. Probably most of you left after tweet of the week, but we'll more formal. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Just what we're doing.
I don't know,
but yeah.
Only right now did I think after you asked me that question live on the podcast, if like I thought, well, maybe we could do like a graphic or we could do something. We could announce it. When you said formally, I was like, oh, we could have made a formal announcement.
Well, this is like the soft launch. We'll hard launch it closer to the season, but yeah,
sure.
We will be going live on the Sons of UCF YouTube channel for every. Which I guess makes sense. There really was no reason to not have been doing them live beforehand because we do record them immediately after the game, but now we will.
Yeah.
Come join us.
Well, yeah. Let's say immediately after the game's a stretch, but.
Well, road game is immediately after home game. I got to get out of the stadium, but yep.
Yeah.
Unless we do it in the stadium. Should we do it in the stadium?
Ugh. I don't think is that allowed? I don't think we're going to get kicked out.
No, we won't get kicked out. People hang out in the stadium after the game.
Do they?
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
You usually come up after the press conference and I'm just like alone sitting on a bench outside by the Knight statue and I'm like watching another game.
We should do it like a walk and talk, like we're just walking through campus in the dark, just like with a microphone, like talking about the game.
Sounds great. So we'll be back next week with episode 281. That I believe is our roster preview. And then episode 282 will be a game preview. So we have one more podcast that's not a game preview. Then we have a game
crazy. That's pretty.
That is wild. And like when we're talking next week, we'll have college football on Saturday.
Yes. Oh my God, I needed to hear that.
We're there.
I really did need to.
We're not there, but we're almost there.
We're almost there.
But yes, back next week with episode 281. Until then, you can find us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCA Simmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We will talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.